Hey guys, I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds, and hi to all the new subscribers. Welcome. My Wi-Fi has not been acting correctly. I've been having a lot of difficulty uploading. I've been having difficulty scrolling through an app on my phone. I don't know what's going on. Both my Wi-Fi and my cell service is acting like crap. I don't get it. But either way, Succession, Season 4, Episode 2. I'm scared Logan's gonna die, and I'm going to be super emotional about it. If you're new here, hi, welcome. Think about joining the Penguin Gang, maybe hit like on the video. It's free, it costs nothing, and it really, really helps me out. I'm biased towards Logan. I am Team Logan. I have reasons for that already, but he does remind me of the man who raised me, which is my uncle, and he abruptly passed away last year. And so it's already kind of hard to watch this character, but also love it at the same time, because minus all the toxicity, the funny, aggressive stuff he says is, I swear, are some things my uncle has said verbatim. So if he dies, I'm really gonna be bawling my eyes out. But part of me thinks that he might. Now, I know I've said before, I wanted to get... I like it when... I don't like prequels. I do enjoy when a character's left for us to come up with things on our own to an extent. But Logan's backstory... There's a lot there and a lot to unpack. And I've talked about this at length about the generational trauma and how that is cycles of abuse are a huge theme in this show. And just to even hear him say, I'm sorry about anything. And then I've been saying this. I said it last episode. I said from the jump, you guys can ask Mom, 8 minutes into the episode, I was like, Roman is snitching everybody out. Roman is going to cave to his parent because I'm the baby. And one thing this show does very well is when you see the siblings all together, even though they're grown-ass adults, they revert to being 14, 15 years old. They're kids again. They're kids fighting over toys. It's part of the reason why it's so gross sometimes, when they're throwing out numbers like 10 billion, you know what I mean? But that family dynamic is why we can relate to these characters and why we love them. And from experience, let me tell you guys, I'm the baby. We will snitch you out every time. We are the ones that are going to snitch you out to whatever parent, because you're talking smack or whatever it is. I don't know what it is what it is. Off rip, I was like, no, Roman is snitching them out. Roman is totally telling, or at least talking to Logan. There's no way. He's the baby. He needs his daddy the most. That's just how it is. My mom's my best friend, and yeah, of course, there's some stuff I keep from her, between me and my siblings, but yeah, no, there's been times where I'm like, no, I'm gonna snitch you out, because it's Mom. Mom has rule over all. I was glad that we got confirmation of that going on, and throughout the whole episode, I was like, Roman's gonna be the one to have a problem with you guys. The amount of... If they wouldn't have been smack-talking the way they were, and then continually saying, it's not personal, it's just business. No, it's not. It's totally personal, and you can tell that's bothering Roman. I feel like if they wouldn't have been smack-talking their dad as much as they were, Roman probably still would have flipped. But either way, it might not have been as quickly. Then again, who knows? We're only in episode 2. Plus, from what we've seen with the character, but no, the baby, that's just how we are. Having Logan say, I'm sorry at all, but then Roman being the only one to go. Roman's putting his foot in the door and allowing this doorway to stay open. Shiv and Kendall are not. They're shutting it down. They're being mean. They're on the attack. Roman is the one going, but what are you sorry for? And when he says, I'm sorry for the helicopter, that meant a lot more. I'm not saying it's right. It's still toxic. You don't have to put up with the toxic things like that, whether it's family or not. Just so you know, I'm not condoning that. But for the story, I'm like, that's a big thing for this character to do. He doesn't say he's sorry. And for him to show up at a dive bar karaoke place, for Logan Roy to stoop that low and do that, oh my gosh, I was like, no, he really means this. And from the jump, I've always said this, he does love his children. What's the difference between us loving to hate Cersei because she loves her children and Logan Roy? I truly think that when he smiled, when he realized, they got it in them, they got some juice. I was saying that in the last season. He wanted them to come together. I think it truly bothered him in whatever season they're on the yacht. And Shiv says, please. Nobody, I can't have you do it to Tom. And he goes, you know what that means then? Meaning Shiv knew that it would be her brother thrown under the bus. And yeah, you should have your spouse's back. And I do like Tom getting his licks in this season. I do. I don't mind it. I really don't. None of these people married to these Roys can get away. They're trapped. It's a golden cage of slavery. So I like Tom getting his digs in a bit. I really do. But in the end, I think Logan's going to have his baby girl's back. But who knows? Who knows? For the first time, well, not the first time, but very rarely can I not go this is what I have a few definitive things I'm pretty 99% sure are going to happen. I don't know with this show, and I love it for that. I've also talked about this at length. Connor remember when they do the Retney Ball and him and Logan are sitting in the car together and he's like, I remember what a magical night it was and you told me this and you told me that. You got to remember, Connor might come off a certain kind of way, but I thought his monologue this episode really, oh my God, heartbreaking, accurate, and fit so much into just a couple sentences. But either way, he's been around the longest. He's been watching his dad play this game the longest. It's the same. They're always counting him out. That's why I think Roman was like, not only am I having a little change of heart because of what I've gone through and everything in the Middle East part when he got stuck in that hotel, I think he's thinking like Logan. Out of all of them, he's thinking like Logan the most. And he's going, we got to bring him into the fold. We got to keep him happy to an extent, just like Logan does. Because what does Connor say? I can't remember which season he says it when he's like, Dad, I will go into the ledgers. We can talk about all this. We can talk about all that. And he's like, yeah, shut up. Logan realizes I need to keep Connor semi-happy. Okay? Roman knows that too. And he's playing it smart. And I think all Logan really wants is for his children to come together. I think in Italy, when he saw them unite like that, it really bothered him that it wasn't like, why couldn't you have done this sooner? Shiv, you wanted to sell your brother out and knew it and said I should put his head on the chopping block over your husband. You should have your spouses back. But I think in the end, Logan wants to see, before I go, I want to know that my children are solid with each other. Magnitude of these situations in this show make it kind of hard to talk around them. Because you shouldn't want to sell your spouse out. You should have their back. But yeah, in this family, it's a little different. I think Logan was proud that they showed up and showed a united front. I just don't think he's proud of how they're moving yet, and I don't think he fully trusts them. My mom is my best friend. She's my hero. She's definitely not toxic like Logan Roy, but she would do the same thing. Like, her stuff is like ironclad. Like, none of us can do nothing with anything unless all three of us agree, and she wants to know that we'll all be there for each other when she's gone, and legacy and all this stuff, and it's important to her. So I think Logan, if you just look at it that way, he genuinely does want his kids to come together, but he wants to know they have what it takes. And I think that he sees a little bit of himself without the wacky out there stuff. He sees a little bit of himself in Matsson, and that's what scares him. He's like, I know this guy is ruthless. I know what he'll do, and it's not going to be good for you guys when I'm gone. And the truth is, I do want my kids to take over. Now, I was saying that cousin Greg might win it all in the end. What if his dad, what if his grandpa passes? What if he got his board seat? And Logan has a special affinity for him because he knows he worked in parks. He came up like that. He was a normal person. I definitely didn't think they were going to go this angle, and it has to come back and hurt him because Carrie just brought it up this episode, and what a scumbag she is when she says you've touched every girl in Manhattan or something. And I forgot about in the first episode when they were like, oh yeah, Greg, you're going to get, and Tom, you can tell that Tom started to distance himself a little bit, not completely, but a little bit from Greg. After he said this, he was like, do you want to get Me Too'd out here, Greg? Because you're making up a lie on this girl saying that she was addled out of her mind, not right in that, she was on substances when she wasn't, and that doesn't sound good for you, you stupid moron. Like, you know, and so you can tell that Tom is playing it cautiously. Also, the way they're framing the shots and having Tom constantly at Logan's right side, and then it's not always, but it's a lot. And then when Roman shows up at the end of the episode and he tells Tom to get up and move, and then Roman's at his right side, that's some of the most beautiful stuff and nuanced stuff the show does, and I love it. And it deserves every accolade it gets. Oh, because the other shifty thing Shiv is doing behind her brother's back is talking to Sandy and Stewie without them knowing. She's not being honest with them. At least Kendall and them are kind of being honest for the most part, but out of everybody, Roman and Logan are the only ones being fully honest this episode. It's kind of a rarity. Don't mind Tom sticking it to Shiv. People really were coming at Tom hard for a couple seasons, and I didn't understand why, because I was like, this guy is not only, he's, like I said, the morality of the show makes it hard to say things where it's like, do we feel bad for them? But you know what I mean. Tom is the outsider, you know, the kid who hung out with the bullies who you knew was cool when the bully friends weren't around, and you were like, man, why can't you be cool and nice all the time, and then they show up and you're acting like a prick? That's Tom. He's constantly pretending to be something he's not, and all he loved Shiv. He unconditionally loved her. He's really broken up about this. She used him and didn't realize, I did come to this realization also, that none of them can have intimacy correctly. Like, we all have seen that through sexual stuff, and how they all are differently, but intimacy with them is, because sex is not intimate to them in that way, none of them have real intimacy with anybody else, but Shiv did have that with Tom when she could talk to him, she could trust him, and she did lose that, and she knows it's her fault and won't admit it to herself. And Tom did love her unconditionally. And when they were trying to have a baby and people were like, this is creepy and weird, I'm like, no, Tom just wants to know that he has something in this world that actually loves him back. That's sad. I didn't take it as like a creep thing. And I like Tom getting his digs in. I like Shiv, but I think she's the most gung-ho, this is a personal, I'm coming at, she's the Kendall of first season. But I think kind of in a worse way, because she's not being honest with her siblings, and that's the thing here. Cousin Greg, I was saying, he might go real far in the end. I don't know about win it all, but he's going to come close to being on top. It was just a possibility until these things started happening, until he started doing dumb stuff. But I also still think he might. He's family. He's still blood. He still fits. Why not? I really loved this too. When they show Logan doing his speech, I thought the last episode was a way more serious tone. This one was a lot funnier, a lot more jokes put in, I felt like, or maybe I was just reading it wrong. But I loved Greg's monologue talking to Tom on the phone about Logan. But when Logan does his speech and that music even shifts, that was, that had to be inspired by dictators, right? That's how dictators are. But I think when they cut to Tom and Greg and they're looking at him and looking around the room, just are like, I knew you could inspire intimidation. I knew you could be this way and that way. I've never seen you inspire a cheering. Let's change those out from people in cubicles to soldiers on a battlefield. That was always the big thing that they always said about Robert Baratheon in Game of Thrones. Sorry to always compare things to Game of Thrones, but it's my easiest way. But Robert, they always said that about him. He had this booming, loud voice on the battlefield, which really added to the morale of the soldiers, and it really mattered when it came down to like hyping them up or just giving commands. And the way Logan does it, I was like, oh, this is mad dictator-like. And then that tiny music shift made it so scary for a minute, and then they cut to Tom looking around and Greg like looking at Logan, and I think they fully realized like, I've never seen you inspire the troops this way, but I also didn't. I'm seeing the Logan Roy and how he got to where he is, and he's ready to fight, and he don't give a shit. Oh, the helicopter getting shut down I thought was funny, and I was like, of course he's going to do that. Why wouldn't he? But that's also a relatable thing. We might not be able to relate to the helicopter part, but we can relate to, we know one of our family members, our siblings, our cousins are going to be all pissy because we're tardy to their thing that we don't even want to be at. And we think it's stupid, and they're really excited for it, and we don't want to break their little hearts. We can relate to that. That's another thing this does very well, and I didn't realize it at first, is that, especially in the karaoke scene, these characters, where me and you as normal people wouldn't say or do these rude things that Roman and them say, but we're all thinking them. We're all thinking like, get me the fuck out of here. I don't want to be here. Oh my God. Like we hear those things. We hear those thoughts. We don't say them out loud. Oh, and I've said this from the jump too. Kendall's assistant, she's around for everything, knows everything, hears everything. And he kind of, for a season or two, Kendall was really talking down to his staff. And I'm like, they still might be pissed. And I don't know now, but I could see her getting fed up with all of this. Maybe all of these people that are underneath them getting fed up with it in the end and going in on all of them. I don't know where this is going to go, but I definitely thought Carrie going on TV, Logan's little girlfriend or whatever they're calling her, and I was saying before, I was like, I don't think it's right to just automatically say they're sleeping together because maybe she's just good at her job, but then obviously this is a job that she's wanted out of Logan, and I was like, does she actually want it, or what's going on here? I thought Logan was smoking out the people in his group who were BSing him, and that's why when Tom was honest with him, I was like, this is Logan solidifying, okay, you're telling me something I might not want to hear, but you're telling me anyway. And I don't really, if this Carrie really can do that much damage, I don't believe that she can. But I'm like, obviously she's going to try, right? But I thought Logan was trying to smoke out his group. And he did kind of with it, but not in the way I thought when he found out Jerry and Hugo were lying, and that's what they were laughing at. Like them talking about, and Logan saying like, nope, I won't shake hands with them, I don't want pictures of that, I don't want this, I don't want that. And it just goes to show you how far they'll go so they can stay out of things in a legal sense or just in a public PR way. You can definitely tell that Logan knows now, I cannot trust these people around me. I need my kids. And when he said he missed them at his birthday, I was like, oh my God, the Logan a season ago would have never said this. This is huge. And then I could tell it's bothering Roman the whole time when Shiv and Kendall are on full attack while he's being as vulnerable as we've ever seen Logan Roy be. Oh my God, and poor Willa. Poor Willa, that's what I mean about a golden cage. I'm like, this poor woman, and if they'd go more into the political stuff, I think it would be a really cool, ironic, fun, smart thing to do to have Willa actually be the brains of the operation. To have this call girl that this is looked down upon and they're looked at a certain kind of way. I'm on OnlyF, and I know people look at me a certain kind of way, and I'm like, I'm sorry, my job of 10 years fired me. I have to make it work. Also, I love doing my cosplays, and I love having fun and playing dress up and wearing crazy stuff, so big whoop. It doesn't mean I'm not smart or I can't do a job correctly. I did manual labor for 10 years. I'm an award-winning employee. Like, come on. Just because somebody does something like that doesn't mean they're a trash human or whatever, or not smart. Especially after Willa wrote the speech at Mo Lester's funeral and got one over on that writer, and the writer knew it and was like, touche, across the room. I'm like, no, Willa's stepping up here, and she's looking out for Connor, but she also knows I can't get away from this. But I did laugh out loud when Connor's like, Willa stood up and said, I can't do this. Oh my God, and I don't know why, but the pizza conversation with Logan, Tom, and Greg made me laugh super hard. The SOG factor. Also the same scene where Greg walks away and Tom tells Logan the truth, and Logan's like, remember, I had nothing to do with this about Carrie. Greg ends up going to talk to her, and that's when she drops the bomb of saying, like, yeah, and you've touched every girl, wherever. And it's like, she's almost threatening him. And then I was like, oh yeah, and then you said that messed up stuff about that girl, Greg. This might come back to bite you in the ass. Kind of sad, because Greg, you were the only one with actual morals. Like, you were the only one saying, like, human furniture isn't okay and stuff. And you could go far. If your grandpa dies, his board seat's open. Logan might give that to you if you're not acting a fool. But oh my God, after they got to the rehearsal and Connor was like, I want to go to a regular bar, because I think he's going out for, like, I want to see what do these average people have that I don't, that she would like. And then that's what I first thought, but then when he said, because I've seen it in movies, and that just goes to show you, like I've been saying about this show, whether it's the 1%, the middle class, poverty line, family is complicated. And look at what he says, because I've seen it in movies. We say, like, regular people say stuff, I've seen it in movies, I saw it in a movie, and that's just, this man wants to go do this fun activity and go with his brothers and sister and have fun, and he can't have it. He tries anyway, and that's kind of the fun part of Connor. It's a charming part of Connor. It's a charming part of his character. And I think that's because if Connor was a scumbag, we'd be like, let this call girl go. Obviously, you've had her stuck with you forever. She don't want to be there. Like, come on now. But we don't feel that way about him. And I genuinely think Willa feels bad for him, but she knows. Look at what happens to people who try to leave this family. Also see Connor get them to a room alone and allow their dad to show up and what could be an ambush. I was kind of shocked that Logan allowed Carrie to come in, and this was after Carrie grilled Greg about who said what and who said I was bad, and I was like, you really just wanted an anchor? The part about it that bothers me is, like, you just wanted an anchor job? That doesn't seem like that hard. Now, I'm not saying it's not a hard job. What I'm saying is that doesn't seem like the biggest favor you could ask from Logan Roy. Why wouldn't you ask that sooner? You've been doing an awful lot. But at first, I'm like, you did try to call the kids on the birthday. You did try to do a couple nice things without being asked. Now you're really pissed because you know Logan agreed to, you're not that great. But the fact of the matter is, you weren't. And I feel like somebody who's in that industry and around these people that much should know that and maybe just go, yeah, this sucks, but at least I'm still in the running. I might be able to have it in a year or two. But I guess there's ego and all that other stuff involved, and it's just one of those things. But I was just like, really? This is going to be the big thing? I loved Logan admitting the kids did something smart with Stewie and Sandy, and then I think he was proud of them, and I think he does. I think he sees part of himself in Mattson, and he's like, I know he will tear them apart. And he genuinely meant it when he said, I love you, but you're not serious. You're not serious enough. But I do think he loves his kids. He's just, like I said, cycles of abuse and trauma. None of these people know how to love correctly. That's what I mean about the intimacy thing. Shiv has to go do all this, but she wants that intimacy with Tom, and that's what made the scene in episode 1 so sad, is when they're sitting together, because to her, like, that's as intimate as she can get with him now. It's not about a sexual thing. With Roman, he's way off with his stuff. With everybody else, I'm really shocked at how quickly Jerry's on the outs, and you'd think she wouldn't be. But I did like Logan saying, hey, you got your Viking hat on already? Like, you're already working for somebody else? Because Jerry knows the assignment of her job, and she knows what to get ready for. But I'm kind of shocked at how early we're going into that. I love Jerry. I love all these characters. I love them all. All our main ones. You guys know what I mean. This is when Logan essentially is just berated by, and I mean, it's to berate Logan Roy, come on. But Shiv and Kendall lead the attack. Connor's like, whatever. I just wanted a nice day, and I can never have that. Roman is the one leaving the door open and doesn't like how they're coming at their dad. And that conversation is what makes me think, is Logan going to die? Like, it started with the baseball game and the stroke in season 1. This one starts with the birthday, but no baseball game. Will he not make it through this season? And that will just make me really sad. But I think that Roman, he did not like the way they were not letting up. But Connor saying, man, Connor talking about love. I mean, shoot, having Logan Roy have his monologue about love last season, and now Connor has this one this season, and in just a couple sentences, damn, that hit hard from a character you wouldn't think you'd get that from. Part of me made me think, are you going to go full villain, Connor? Thing about having a family that doesn't love you. Oh my God, it's so heartbreaking. The thing about having a family that doesn't love you, you learn to live without it. He tells his siblings they're needy love sponges, and he knows already what the deal is. He's been around the longest. He already knows. They don't. So I'm like, Connor, are you going to go full nuke on your siblings, or what's going to go on here? And I love it, but it was so sad, but also, like I said, kind of like full villain, because you're saying, I don't need love at all. You guys do. You need daddy's attention. I don't need that. I already knew this from a long time ago, and you guys never learned it. I did. Yeah, when he said that he was like, you guys are sponges, and you are plants that need to grow, and I'm a plant that grows on concrete. I grow through rocks. Like, I already know. You can tell this even takes his siblings back. You can tell they're even like, geez, Connor, like, what? And I think that they just thought you didn't have emotions like this, but he does, and he has this entire time. He's been the oldest sibling, which is very common. They sit back, and they're normally the calmest. My sister will only explode if it's pushed. You got to get her to a really far place for her to even, like, say some super mean stuff or even slightly mean. You really got to push her. That's where Connor's at. He's like, no, I'm going to let you guys have it. And I'm going to let you guys have it calmly, and you're going to get the point real quick. You're weak. The one you call weak, I'm calling you weak. And it hits. Knowing that you won't have love ever and don't need it is a superpower. Whether Willa comes home or not, oh my God. I wasn't expecting that out of Connor, and it hit hard. Alan Ruck brings so much to this character, and I love it. I love it. I was not expecting this. I love it. Kendall does put it all out on the table to Logan. Logan is just telling him, like, you don't understand Mattson. By the end of the episode, he's inviting Roman. But like I'm saying, there's a lot of symbolic stuff, and I want to rewatch this episode, and I want to talk about it more, and I'm sorry that this is late. But yeah, I'm shocked at this season so far in a good way. I wish it was I thought this episode was pretty humorous, but I could use a bit more lightheartedness, but I was also expecting it to be more serious. It's the final season. It is what it is. But yeah, tell me what you thought down in the comments. I'm Abby. I'm on Instagram. I'm on OnlyF. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the stuff. It's down below. Yeah. Oh, and I hope this uploads correctly because, like I said, it's been struggling the last few days and, well, like weeks, and it's been weird.